All right. So good morning, since
Good
we normally do these in
morning.
the afternoon.
I know.
Everybody has their beverage of choice.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I was reading about green tea, and one of my fellow students in grad school is doing a study on green tea, actually L-theanine, which is the main ingredient in green tea and why people drink
Mhm.
green tea, as well as caffeine. And he's showing that his pilot study showed that if you did, I think it was like 300 milligrams of L-theanine and then caffeine, which I didn't get how many milligrams. I'll ask him later, but if you paired those two together, you gave yourself about 45 minutes for it to get in your system. That he was seeing that his athletes' response times was quicker.
Hmm.
So he works with professional baseball players, I think.
Interesting.
So I was like, that's good to know. I might
Mhm.
incorporate that at some point in time. Well,
Get me some L-theanine.
yes. L-theanine is it improves cognition. So
No.
to improve cognition. So yeah, the more you know, right? So
Mhm.
all right. So this last month was October, right? Um, and we read Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. So, what was everybody's thoughts on it? I know it's a good one.
I would say that one, everybody should read the book, even if you had a great childhood, right? Because
Absolutely.
I think the title is super catchy, but it's just how to
Mhm.
identify emotionally immature people wrapped
Mhm.
up in parents. I think everybody has a parent so they can relate in a sense and identify in it in some form or fashion. But we all have relationships, right? And so um, I think it's really great. And we're also, not everybody, but a lot of people are also parents, right? So there's so many different lenses you can read the book from that can be beneficial.
Absolutely. Cece, what were your first
I
thoughts?
think I thought it was just super eye-opening. The like Ariana said, the title is very eye-catching, and I was excited to read it, like just to kind of navigate relationships in my life, not necessarily my parents, but it was eye-opening also for like my childhood. And I consider myself having like a pretty good childhood, so it was I think everyone should read it. Um, and I think a lot of people would be able to take something from it.
100% agreed. I've said this in the office numerous times that I think this is my, I don't know, third time to read it. Uh, and I started reading it to help clients, and I would read along with them, and it would be something that we would do together, chapter at a time, and then start peeling back the layers of, because I take very much more of a, um, what would be classified as a psychoanalytic, psychodynamic kind of viewpoint. I definitely do therapy in my office. I don't just do counseling. Um, and kind of the difference there is therapy, we go deep, and counseling can be sometimes more topical. Let's get through this event. This life transition or death or job or whatever. And therapy is much deeper. So I always start at the beginning, and we kind of grow and again peel that layer back. And so this was one of those things that I've used to help clients go there when they're like, everything was fine. It was great. And like, well, I too feel like I had a pretty good childhood. Yes, I came from divorced parents and they divorced early. But I've always described it as a beaver cleaver divorce family from my parents' generation of TV shows. But um, they were very amicable together. And my mom would tell you different, that there was lots of stuff there, but I didn't pick up on it. They did a really good job of not fighting in front of me and name calling and talking nasty about the other parent. And when I read it this third time, it was like, oh my gosh, that was my dad. Oh my gosh, that was my mom. And not in a bad way, but just being able to understand why they responded the way they did, right? I can see how they were parented. I have a close relationship with, my grandparents as well. And watching the way that my grandparents interacted with my dad or my mom, right? Watching the way I parent now that I have adult children, I'm like, oh, I get it. I know why I did this or I didn't do. And that wasn't maybe the most mature response that I could have had to my daughter or my sons in those situations, right? So it's also interpersonal, right? Why you do what you do. And it's, again, it's okay. And I love the way the book is presented, that this is about understanding and gaining knowledge and not castigating and pointing fingers and blaming and wrapping your arms around the whole victim mentality that I was done wrong by my parents. Nobody asked to be born, right? Your parents didn't ask to be born. You didn't be asked to be born, but we're here. So now what do? Right? Most parents are doing the best they can with the knowledge they have today, and they don't know what they don't know, and they've never done today before. So, right? The emotional immaturity, like, how would you define that before this book?
Mm.
I think with my experience from other jobs and seeing parents, I guess I would define emotional maturity like not being able to like have conversations without yelling or like raising your voice, and just kind of like the whole hierarchy, like I'm the parent and you're the child and this is the pecking order. So I think that's kind of how like I would define it, have defined it.
I feel like for me, I'm like trying to recall before I even started the journey of like becoming a therapist, right?
It's
Because
hard.
I feel like it's
Hard to separate
distorted.
it out.
Become a therapist and even start seeing kids whose parents I'm involved with now, right? Or even different perspectives. But I would say emotional maturity would be being able to ebb and flow with the way your child ebbs and flows, right? And not making things extreme.
Okay.
Because I think there are some parents that can do that, but then there are some that go extreme in certain scenarios, right? And not being self-reflective at all, right? Because although they are a separate being, they are like copy and paste of us because they do see one, do one in a way. So,
Mhm. Absolutely. So that, both of y'all kind of went, and I would have done the same thing, for the emotional piece of it, right? And I think like she makes a point, is it Dr. Gibson? Yeah, Dr. Gibson makes a point, like there are 4 different types of difficult parents, right? There's the emotional parent, which we're kind of talking about, right? Which instills feelings of instability and anxiety, that unstableness, unsure where you fit in to that parent's role, world. There's the driven parent who stays busy trying to perfect everything and everyone, the workaholic, right? The controlling. There's the passive parent who avoids dealing with anything upsetting. Emotions are too big. I don't want to, I'm going to leave. And there's the rejecting parent. They're withdrawn, dismissive, and derogatory. And I think we forget about those other three oftentimes. I see that with clients that come in as well, right? So in reading this and opening that up, how did that shift for y'all?
I think it shifted like with the whole aspect of rigidity, like when a parent might be like super rigid and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna budge, I'm not gonna change my mind, I'm not gonna hear another like perspective, like especially with that. And like not being able to I was about like not being able to even just like have a conversation, like the shutting down aspect, or just being very passive and kind of just not going deep, if that makes sense. Like just keeping it very like surface level.
Absolutely, because they can't handle the emotions that they're
Mhm.
feeling, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's disappointment or hurt, rejection, frustration, they can't handle that. So we're just going to shut it down. And I see that a lot um, in certain generations where they push the boundaries a lot. They're like, nope, you crossed my boundary, I'm out. And it's not that simple, right? And there's a whole generation that just wants to be, they want their emotions validated, not understanding that, well, we can validate your emotions, but that doesn't mean that what I want to do goes away because it doesn't align with you, right?
Mhm. I would say it also like it shed light on other things, and I get and like kind of you see the more of the humanness, I think, in a parent, right? And I think we think super emotional in the sense of not being emotionally, what's the word, in tune with our children in a way, right? Like when we think of an emotionally immature parent. But then reading this and seeing the different types of parents, it was just kind of like, oh, like things we would think like, oh, that's just how my mom was. Like I had a great childhood, right? But reading this, it's like, oh, but my mom did do that. And like, oh, okay. It just kind of was like, okay, one, I have something, a name to put to like a behavior, right? Um, but also in realizing what's going on and being able to almost empathize better with my parent.
I think it
And you
helps
would,
you to see them as humans,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? And I think it's innate that, you know, as we're growing up, we're looking at our parents to be our models, right? They're the ones showing us how to walk, how to talk, how to write our name, um, tie our shoes, ride a bike, like all of those things, read. So they're the knowledge holders, right? And so it's kind of like the idea of your pastor can do no wrong, instead of seeing like your pastor is human. He or she is fallible. They're gonna fall. They're, you know, gonna sin, whatever. It's the same thing with parents. It's finally breaking down that wall and going, oh my gosh, it's just a girl, it's just a boy who were trying to figure out how to have a healthy relationship and how to parent, right? When they've never done that before. It- right? And run a household and take care of all of these things. Like, oh, okay, right? I think that's what I love about the book so much, is that it humanizes people, not just your parents, as you're saying, Ariana, but people. Mhm.
I think for me reading this book, I'm not a parent yet. Um, God willing, I can be. But so we're just going to say this for the lack of not getting into the technicalities of whether or not I could or couldn't be one. But for when the time comes, I feel like it's preparing me to be more introspective. Like the book allowed me to recognize in myself some of the traits that are in the book and recognize how they can be perceived, and just try to do a little better at not being so reactive in whatever it is that I'm feeling, right? And maybe even this, along with the last book, Have a New Kid by Friday, that we read, I think coupled together, it's just making me think to potentially even create like one or two ways that I automatically respond rather than getting stuck in whatever emotion or something that I'm feeling in the moment. Granted, we're human, like we can't like perfect that, right? But it's like if I have a take a deep breath, walk away experience, and then come back versus an automatic response, right? So I think it allowed me to just kind of be more like, what's the self-aware? That's what I was looking for.
Absolutely.
I really liked the part where it was like discussing the internalizers and externalizers because I was reading the internalizer parts and I was like, did they write this book about me? Like
Yes.
how they know?
Yeah, funny enough, I literally just had that.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Yes, and I think that's key, like, right? Like Ariana was saying, is that it's that self-awareness, like, oh, okay, yeah, I did that. And I was able to look at it and go, oh, my brother does that, and my husband does that, and my kid does that. And I'm like, okay, so what does that look like for them? Like, what does that mean? What's going on for them? Right. Um, so I think this is one of those books that, yeah, I've read it 3 times. I'll probably read it many more over my lifetime. And I think that's good, right? It just keeps it at the forefront. Um, and I love that the title is Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents and not Your Narcissistic Blank, right? And today's society is so big on throwing that out. And you hear that all the time. They're so narcissistic. And it's like, really? But are they? Like, come on, just by definition, there's only a certain percentage of the population that falls into that. And I certainly hear that from most of my clients that are walking in the door.
Yeah. There's a woman, she's done so many interviews online and she has written books, and I need to remember her name, on narcissism and how like people can't be, or they can't have narcissistic tendencies, right? Like that's not necessarily a thing.
A thing.
But I think we throw it on everyone, and it's actually like a mental health disorder. So everyone doesn't have the disorder, right? So like
Correct.
we
It's
all
not,
have we're all a little bit self-centered and we all self-preserve to an extent, right? It's just in
of
what way
course.
do we do that?
Well, I mean,
Um,
it's in our biology to do that,
mhm,
right? It's again, it's survival of the fittest in new terminology.
mhm,
Um, and I mean, my goodness, if you were to put in, all you have to do is look on any of the social media platforms, and you're going to see something about self-care, right? And the self-care industry is insane. It makes, I can't even remember the last number, but it was something in the billions of dollars every year. And that's what you see everywhere. Take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. Yes, but take care of your people too. So it's pushing this agenda that it's all about you, right? It's
mhm,
pushing emotional immaturity. So not only do we have a natural biological propensity to be that way for our survival. But now our society has fully enveloped it, and we've lost in that push, I believe, our sense of community and understanding that yes, it is important to take care of yourself. And innately, if you take care of yourself, you would then have the space to take care of others. That is the basic pure definition of it, and what should be the original meaning. Society has taken it, latched into it, and like it lots of things do, pushed it into, how can we make more money, more dollars. And now you have to do self-care. If you don't do self-care, but it used to be getting a mani-pedi was self-care, right? For women, a lot of women, not my mom didn't like them, but a lot of women like it, right? But if you go into a nail shop, what do you see? People are on their phones. They're, they're not really doing the self-care component of it. It's a checkbox. I need to do this. And so it shifted. And so that emotional immaturity has really just been bred, I think.
That is so funny that you say that. Because I was literally just telling my boyfriend, because I'm about to get my nails done. I was like, I hate getting my nails done. Like, I just wish it would just be done, because it's not something I enjoy sitting there. So for me, it literally is a checkbox. But also what y'all were saying, like, I feel like there's so much therapy speak, narcissism, self-care, all these things, like, stop it.
When like all of that, right, can be a sense of not feeling community, so you have to care for yourself, but no one is saying, like Dr. Teresa's saying, it's like when you have your people care for you to make you caring for yourself easier. Right? So it's like you're not on a lonely island just trying to care for yourself and also manage all your other things. When you're in community with people, you have people who can assist in certain areas so that you can step back and have the actual care or rest that you need, right? It's not a lonely island type of thing. And so I just find that it's so interesting, right? Like they are pushing and making money off of people's loneliness in a way, and like isolation.
Well, and then, we can put in the nasty little fingers of societal norming, that if your nails aren't done, then you're not whatever, right? If you don't have the right shoes or the right, all the things, right? And that feeds into it, and not,
But what's a little different in that too, because I was thinking about this when Cece was talking. It's like it's not even the fact of my nails being done. I enjoy the act of doing my own, right? Because for me, it's relaxing and it takes my mind off of things. But it's because my mind is working to be precise and to do something. And sometimes it can take me a little bit longer. So it's like it can be a form of self-care for people,
Sure.
right? But it's like you said, sitting on your phone is not you decompressing.
And I mean, sitting on your phone, like doing emails and getting all those little tasks done, right? I mean, sitting there and absorbing and just being in the moment, right? It goes back to being mindful and learning how to shut down, right? I'm going to take this time for me. I am not going to attend to the outside world, and I'm going to do this, right? And for you, Ariana, it's the crafting, and it's the hyper focus, and that feels good to you, and I think that's great, right? Cece, like I said, my mom she didn't like to be still. And so, and that can be a different thing, but, so yeah, some of those people don't like it at all. And there's times that I'm like, oh, I don't want to go and do that today. Like I want to go do this, or I just want to go read a book, or I just want to, I've got shit to do. And so right. But it's a mind shift on how you go through that process, right? So, but that just speaks that there are things that are that genuine self-care that are different for everybody, right? I have a girlfriend who loves to run, and I have told all of y'all, if I'm running, you need to be running. Shit's going down. Like, I don't run. I don't like it. I think it's evil. I don't think it's natural. So that's just me. Everybody's different, and that's good. Mhm. So how will you take this moving forward with your clients? Like those harder clients, does it like make you go, oh?
I think I have some like teen clients now. Like I'm already thinking like, wow, they could really benefit from reading this later, which I don't know if it would be appropriate for them to read now.
You know, this is one of those things that it's definitely, you have to know your client. But I've recommended the book to a 14-year-old before because she was very mature. She was definitely parentified. And so she got it. And we had some very awesome, dynamic conversations, and she was able to do a lot of essentially forgiving, in particular of one parent. That was definitely really emotionally immature and a little, there was some estrangement and whatever, but it was like, oh, okay, this isn't about me. I didn't do this.
Mhm.
As a teen, that's really important to understand. You didn't do this, right? So it helped her shift and go, okay, I've got to stop trying to change this, stop thinking I've done something wrong and chasing that parent, basically saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? Whether it's performance or it's impulsive, um, uh, risky behavior, right? It can go different ways. Or, sports achievement, academic achievement, right? Any way to, to get that attention, it helps them go, I don't have to do this. What do I want? How does my life align with my goals, my values, my ethics, my beliefs? And at 14, that's when that's beginning to really rise to the top, right? So again, remember, think back to July's book, The Anxious Generation. I think it was July. The generations are less mature than generations in the past. So maybe your teen isn't ready for this book, but you could definitely start presenting the concepts and ideas in it.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that as well because when we were just talking about the four different types, right? I was like, okay, I have a teen who's in a place where they are starting to see a little bit their parents as humans who are like overloaded, right?